You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Live from Force 13 HQ and via this webcam located on the island of Beigan in Taiwan in the province of, what was it called, Linshan or something like that. It's under a typhoon warning. It's one of those islands just off the coast of China, which is about to see the full force of Maria as it is right now. It is a weakening storm, admittedly, but it is packing a punch, and as you can see here, this location is about 20 miles away from the center of Typhoon Maria. Right now, as it stands, Maria is coming for this island. We already saw in the last hour another island where significant conditions occurred, where we saw, in fact, David's going there now. Let's just fade everyone up again here. We're joined by the team in this hour consisting of David, Gabe, Mike and Orlando.
Good to be here, and sorry, you can actually see on this webcam the amount of debris on the surface.
Ah, but look how calm there. That's clearly
in the eye. Wow.
Yeah, I say it's still in the eye, Nathan. I know we're only well, guessing to a point, but you could clearly see the amount of rubbish. I think that tide is coming in.
Interesting.
It looks like it is. Oh yeah, you can see it's starting to bulge out a little bit. The storm surge looks like it's about to shoot in. I think the storm's eye the other part of the storm, they're about to go back into the eye wall if the storm surge is starting to push back in. If you're around if you're around that area where this is, where is this again?
That one is on the first island, Dong Yin.
Okay, if you are on Yin, then you're probably about to receive the second part of the eye as this storm surge is starting to push back in.
Well, you say that, but I'm actually looking at the satellite imagery, and it appears a big hole has opened up on the eastern side of the eye wall, and funny enough, that particular island is going to get what's ever left of the eastern part of the eye wall. So fingers crossed, it's not going to be too bad, but you know, I could be completely wrong on that.
Oh wow!
You know, we're really. It would really be threading the needle if that was actually happening. I don't think the island will get off scot-free for the second half of the storm by any means. Having said that,
no.
But it looks to me as though a massive depletion of the eye wall will mean that the conditions may not be as ferocious on that particular island, but there will still be some heavy rainfall and some strong winds, but maybe not as bad as it could have been.
It's true.
It's high tide now.
That's always a good sign.
Oh, look at that tide. It's starting to... See, that water is starting to... Yeah, it looks like it's getting a little bit rough now.
Yeah, high tide was 6:05 a.m. 0.93 meters.
Let's also take a little look at Hurricane Chris. Well, this is the one that really brings up questions. How strong do you think it is, viewers? It's really getting its act together. We've put out an estimate at this hour. You may have seen it at the start of the hour. We've put it now at 90 miles per hour and a pressure of 978 millibars. That's not official, and that may also be conservative, just like the National Hurricane Center. When you look at the storm right now, I mean, I would say just looking at it, it may be a Category 2, but it does have to hold that appearance for a little while for it to be bona fide, I suppose. So keep looking at it, and in a few hours maybe we can call that a Category 2 and maybe advancing through Category 2 towards 3.
At this point, I think it's like you said, if it can hold that good looking, if it can hold that those cloud tops and eye, or even strengthen it, making it look even better, definitely Category 2. But I mean, if I'm seriously debating Category 3 with this. Not right now with this imagery, but I'm debating on whether or not this thing will become a Category 3, because it's looking more likely as time has gone on.
On our live poll that we're running right now, you can take a look at that as well on our community tab on Force 13's main channel page. Oh, there's also the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's map there, but let's just go back here and just to let you know about that, that is over there on the channel page right now. There's been over 100 votes on that already during our live stream, so get voting and see how it goes. At the minute it's quite resounding. Do you think the World Meteorological Organization should break its convention and retire the name Maria worldwide? Now, the convention is that if a storm is retired in a particular basin, then that retirement carries only in that basin, not the world over. Now, we had Hurricane Maria last year, which devastated Dominica, Puerto Rico and several other islands in the Caribbean, and now we've got Maria, which could be devastating the coast of China. Do we think, the majority of people do think, that they should go and break convention and retire Maria? After 107 votes, it's at 83% yes. Does anyone disagree with that sentiment?
I don't disagree with that. I think as long as this Maria, as Typhoon Maria here, has caused enough damage to make China and the surrounding island, or even I don't know about Guam, but I do definitely think about China and the surrounding islands around it, that if they think the storm was bad enough that mentioning the name, or that it is just due for retirement, then we could very well see no more Marias anywhere. I think it's...
Oh look, we've got the imagery running properly now. At least some of it. Anyway, you can see the top right-hand screen, visible imagery there from Ghost 16 of Chris, looking even better on visible actually than it does on the infrared. We'll try and get that visible imagery up for you shortly as well. In the meantime, I'd like David to show us something so I can go and look at something else, basically.
I'm just trying to bring up the warnings from China. Okay. The Chinese issued the red alert nearly 24 hours ago, and that is the track chart that the National Meteorological Center has in place.
I'll be back in a minute.
So you can see it's, I mean, that is actually, that's from ages ago, that track map.
Yes, it's actually, well, nearly 24 hours, so still been another hour, Nathan, before they update it.
Alright, let's take a look again at the latest imagery of Maria right now as it moves in towards land. David, I don't know about you, the last frame of this animation is about 25 minutes ago. And the first image, okay, let's get the actual times. The first image is 9:02 UTC. The last image there is 10:37 UTC PM. The current time now is 11:10. So based off that, I would suggest that landfall may be, well, this hour, whilst we're on the air here.
Oh, it's pretty close to it, Nathan. Just looking at the latest visible.
There's a view from David, yep, showing us the visible.
Definitely the... would I be right to say that the western side of the eye is now impacting the land?
Oh, certainly. And the eastern part, in fact, you can visibly see the indent on the eastern side of the eye here. The very tiny island that you can see on the edge of that indent is the one that we saw on the webcam earlier, the first island, Dong Yin. The other webcam that we saw is Beigan, which is going to be just about in the eye any moment now, to be honest. It will just about clip the southern side of the eye, so it will just about get the eye on that island as well. The storm's starting to fall apart, let's face it, and it will continue to do so as it moves inland. It may not even be 115 miles per hour category 3 anymore. It may have gone down a little bit more. I would expect though right now, obviously I think over there they use kilometers per hour, so around 185 kilometer per hour winds sustained with higher gusts of well over 200 kilometers per hour, quite possible, along that whole coastline there. Taiwan, the main island, you can see from the visible here, is almost out of the woods. Not quite. It's just about getting rid of some of those residual bands, and then it's going to get much better for northern Taiwan. Southern Taiwan, it looks like it's already in the clear. Those Japanese islands, they still have gale advisories in effect, and there's still a lot of cloud coverage there. Some more rain may be falling in that area. Further towards the northeast, looking calm over Okinawa and the Amami Islands, and over Japan itself it's pretty calm this morning too. What's David showing us now? Still the same thing.
It's a visible, Nathan.
Alright, let's just do a little change here, and now we have some imagery of Chris. This is some visible imagery as night begins to fall over Chris. To get a sense of perspective on where it is, if I just drag it a little bit to the right, a little bit further, yes, there it is. There's the island of Bermuda right the way on the right hand side of your screen there. So that's where the storm is right now, right in the middle, almost in the middle, between the outer banks of North Carolina and Bermuda. And I believe, looking at this, David, you may agree with me, or anyone else in the room right now, that it is still moving maybe a little bit east of forecast, and that's good news for Atlantic Canada.
Yes.
Alright, let's get back to the webcam footage, because it's looking a bit worse over there, David.
I would say so. There's the rain. I think the rain has picked up a bit.
Looks that way to me, yes. Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I've just actually been communicating with somebody in the chat on this side. And
if you've got any questions for us in this hour, please do send them in, or any comments at all. Start your message with Force 13. It will light up big and bright for me, and I'll be able to answer the question to the best of our ability. We're now looking at the other webcam of that. Look at that. That is
calm.
on Dong Yin. Still very calm there. And if we look back at that satellite imagery, I would say that Dong Yin is now... I'm not sure. Let me just... Dong Yin may have just got away with one here, David.
Yes, I thought it might have been a little bit more rougher, but it's the other.
Well, it's because there is a hole in the eastern side of the eye, eastern side of the eye wall, which is just so happens to be right now over this island. So it could be a lot worse over there than it currently is.
And Nathan, looking at this one, I'm just noticing the height of the water to the wharf or jetty, wharf. So it would have been a lot worse if wave height had been up over 30, 35, even 40 feet. We know wave height gone up to, I think it was 48.
Here is a question that's just come in. Two, actually. Do you think that the UK and Ireland should prepare for possible tropical storms like Ophelia last year? Well, being here, I would like to tell you no. Norway Tracking says, what would happen if you put a floppy disk inside a hurricane, David?
No comment. But more serious.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wind field for Hurricane Chris, and that northwestern area of the UK could see some bad weather coming from Chris.
Who, sorry?
Hurricane Chris up there in the Atlantic.
Yeah, I got that.
Could the west coast of the UK see some bad weather?
Well, the UK press is going completely bananas. Parts of the
press. And they're going bananas on it.
Already, yes. Part of the UK press.
You're joking.
The lesser favoured part of the UK press is going bananas over the potential of Chris arriving. It's not going to be anything interesting. By the way, look at that latest imagery on Chris there. You can see a flare, a convective flare up there encircling the eye, and it's quite a neat effect there from all across the eastern side of the eye. I wonder if I could get a 1-minute version of that animation for you shortly. Whilst I go and get that, if David could show us something, that would be really nice.
Oh, we'll come back to
there we are, back to the webcam in... I keep forgetting the names. Beigan, which is right next to the eye right now. It is on the edge of the eye, probably undergoing the worst part of the eye wall that it will see. We'll just leave that on the screen for a little while whilst I try and go and get some more imagery. Does anyone else want to chime in at this point? Now's a good time. If anyone's here with us, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Hidden away.
Nelson!
Nelson's not here. Gabe?
No.
Are you...
Okay.
Are you seeing Chris right now?
I'm here. I'm here.
Are you seeing Chris right now?
No.
Well, you should. It's looking interesting.
Is it really?
I think so. I'm going to get some more imagery for that shortly. Again, you're looking at latest webcam imagery.
Oh wow, okay.
From Beigan,
big flare-up
which is
of convection.
One of the islands just offshore China, and you can see again waves crashing ashore there. Obviously, it's getting towards the worst part of the storm.
Oh, so you can see some water getting up there. Okay.
There are some interesting questions on the way. I will get to them. I want to get to them, so I will get there as soon as possible. I'm just trying to get some more imagery up on the screen. Let's try now on these questions. What are the odds that New Orleans will see another Katrina in the next 40 years? Well, they almost saw one 35 years before before Katrina itself in the form of Camille. You know, I think there's a significant chance. I wouldn't say it's very likely or very unlikely. In 40 years, maybe double it to 80 years, I'd say it's likely.
I think personally, if Camille actually affected New Orleans to that point, that it wouldn't have been as bad as Katrina. Because things were more maintained back then than they were now. There was so much pollutants, and the water wasn't even able to like, you know, swim across. It wasn't healthy at all. So even after the flooding, you'd basically be stuck in the roof, while in the 60s, things were much cleaner in New Orleans, especially in the now impoverished area.
How interesting.
Well, I mean, we're also talking about a landfall that is bringing winds of over 175 miles per hour. So, and from what I heard, the storm surge was, at the time in Mississippi, was actually very comparable to Katrina. So we may have seen something. Camille is a very good comparison to Katrina, in my opinion. Anyway, it's a very good comparison to Katrina. But I mean, just picking up on what Orlando said, that the poverty is much worse now, even before Katrina, than what it was back in the 60s going into the 70s. So I'm not so sure about I don't know about the damage, but the fatalities probably would have been a little bit lower. And if you take a look at if you put Camille back into today, if you recreated the storm today, you could be seeing damages of about 40 billion. Some estimates.
We're looking at the latest 1-minute imagery as night begins to fall over Hurricane Chris. Again, you can see that flare-up of convection on the right-hand side, the eastern side of the storm's eye, travelling all around to the northern side. It's looking pretty good, and I certainly think it's on its way.
I think personally, if, let's say, we replace Katrina with Camille, and somehow, you know, we have a magic Category 5 headings for New Orleans, I think it would be much, much worse than the Katrina we had.
Yeah, it really would be. Actually, I read up somewhere, I forgot where it was, but I mean, I read up somewhere that
we would basically be talking about people wouldn't even have roofs to go to if we had a Camille replacing Katrina.
That's very true. I mean, even just 100, I mean, you're basically being put inside an F4 tornado that lasts for hours at a time, for about 1, 2, maybe 3 hours at the maximum, and your average EF4 tornado is very, very devastating on its own, definitely destroying house.
And imagine having a flooding during that too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, if you were to replace Camille with Katrina was a very large system. It was, I think at its peak, it was about just the radius of the tropical storm wind field extended out to about 100 miles. So that's a nearly 300. So you're basically taking a storm the size of Texas, and then you threw it at New Orleans. That's what Katrina was, and on almost a Category 3 or 4 storm as it made landfall. But I mean, if you just replaced it with Camille, the damage would be very different, because Camille was much smaller than Katrina was, even though it was stronger.
Of course, storm surge also would have been larger.
Yeah, it would. It really would have been. I forget. I think some reports.
I think it's 20. I think it's 25 feet. I think.
I think that's what it was for. Okay.
We're deviating for too long. Let's get us some more questions. Thoughts on Nauru's downgrade and Lan's missed upgrade, referring to the 2 typhoons that we had last year. Missed upgrade that was for Lan. I personally stand by what Force 13 went with for both of those storms, that they were both just about Category 5 storms. What do you guys think? Well, Lan more than just about. We put 175, and I think that was justified.
Yeah, I stand. I agree. I do stand by Lan's 175, and I do stand by Nauru's 160. And I actually looked and found that Lan had an incredibly large eye that was about 60 miles in diameter, and that would be the largest eye diameter for any Category 5, and that's probably the reason why they kept it down to that's why they kept it as low as 155, and its large size and whatnot. But I mean, the reason why I bring up the eye diameter is because for a Category 5, that's incredibly huge, and the only other storm that comes anywhere close to that is Isabel on its 3rd peak, which on its 3rd Category 5 peak, which was about 40 miles per hour. And Nauru intensified very, very quickly, so I can kind of see why they would put Nauru down to 155, because it was such quick intensification. But otherwise, I still stand by my estimates, and as Nathan said, he stands by his estimates.
Well, there we are. We did have some more questions as well. We're probably trailing behind now. Let's see if we have anything else. Not been looking very much. Well, there's an easy question to answer. Is it possible that there were South Atlantic hurricanes in the past before humans existed? Yes, I would think so, you know. Just like hurricanes anywhere else in the world before records began, really.
Yes.
Any more waves coming off of Africa, or is the dry air and dust stopping anything from forming? Well, it didn't stop Beryl, but for a significantly sized storm, it will be a big problem, I think, at the minute. That could change over time.
I was wondering what the dust storm, I was wondering if we could talk about how the dust storm that's over the Atlantic, how it would affect tropical cyclone development. I mean, obviously we have a lot of dry air there, and as we would say, oh dear, look at all that. Just a side note, look at all the waves. They're just starting to get very, very rough there. I think they're starting to receive. It began Taiwan. I think they're receiving it looks like they're receiving the worst conditions that they've received all day, and that they may be receiving all day, unless the storm. No, I don't think the storm would.
It must really be on the edge of the eye by now. And I wonder, David, you know, you've had that page up for quite a while now, haven't you?
Yes, and the other one's starting to get a bit rough too. Given
how it's always cutting out on you like that, you might want to reload that page and see if you can catch up any to the future, as it were, to see where the store, see how it's looking. Yeah,
it is playing up. Well, listen, I just want to bring up the total precipitable water, and you can clearly see where Maria is. Hurricane Chris for the Atlantic. You can actually see the motion. I go back to an earlier comment of mine where I said it appeared that it adopted a bit of a southerly track. Then Now it's heading to the northeast.
Going back to Chris, what are the chances of seeing Category 3 intensity?
I would say quite substantial if it continues going as it is at the minute. What do you think?
I agree. I
agree. I would have to agree with you.
I think Chris is surely on its path to Category 3. It looks really good, especially with that flare of convection over the eye wall going over up into the northern part of the eye wall. If that continues and that starts to actually encircle it, then I wonder how often the NHC is gonna, or how long the NHC can actually. If it's taken them this long, what I mean is that if it's taken them this long to update Chris to Hurricane, how long it would take them to realize if or when Chris became a Category 3, how long it would take them to realize that.
Nathan, I think this
no. Go ahead.
typhoon might be impacting the live streaming cams. Apology for that.
Well, it wouldn't surprise anyone if that was indeed the case.
Now this is a look at the radar. I captured this. It's a few hours old now, I think. Just so I can get a date stamp, the time. Actually, earlier this morning, I think it was. Yep.
Here's another view from Taiwan's radar of what the storm looked like earlier on and how it has been progressing. This was overnight. So a little bit slow. I think it's the fastest speed for it, but this is how the storm has been progressing, and significant rain amounts over Taiwan, northern Taiwan there.
And this was extracted from another site. I haven't, Nathan. If you've got something.
Yeah, we're showing one here. Yes.
All right. Well, I'll go and search it for more info.
I'm just wondering how far the imagery goes here. 710 is the final image on that. Let's just get back to that last image. That's the latest image as of 7:10 local time. That is about 20 minutes ago. That's how the storm looked there from Taiwanese radar. And it appears to me it is sort of near the edge of the scale, but actually maybe the satellite's a bit misleading, because in fact, David, could you possibly go back to the first webcam on Dongyin, because it looks to me on this radar that the eye is ending there now, round about now.
Hang on.
That the other side may well be coming in here.
Is it that one you want, or
yes,
the other one? Okay.
So here we are looking again at Dongyin, and leave this up for a little while if possible. Right. From the east, I don't know which way the camera's pointing, but you can see it's not quite as calm as it was before, and I reckon that the second part of whatever's left of that eye wall is going to come in very soon.
Actually, I want to make a comment here. You can, if you look really closely, you can actually see the eye wall of the storm, because you can see a bit of, if you look up at the top of the image of the camera, you can kind of see where there's a bit of light, and then there's just like this big wall of darkness, and I think that might be the eye.
Not sure. Interesting.
I can see. Well, I don't know.
Well, I agree with you, Gabe. I can also see that.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, good. That's not just me. it's a bit difficult to see, but I bet you in not too much longer, this and
the break. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I can notice. I can see the top right-hand corner where it's a lot lighter. So that could be. Yeah, but I'll support that.
Now I think it looks to me as though that camera is pointing southwest, judging by satellite imagery. So that would mean that we're looking into the eye.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, okay, well that is very. So we're not looking at the edge of the eye wall. We're okay.
It would appear that. Well, I don't know because the eye wall may well be coming in now, but I wouldn't. I don't know. We are where we are with this.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I mean, some of these swells also kind of look like they're coming from the other direction. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I mean, the water is kind of coming towards the camera from where we appear to be seeing the eye. So I don't know.
And you notice the wind coming along the top of the water. You can actually see the wind. It's coming from the top right hand down to the left hand side. You can actually see. So it looks like, would it be northeasterly wind?
I have no idea. We're just kind of guessing at this point. Starting to get a bit more violent there now. That's for sure. It's getting a tad bit more. So I think. So regardless of where this is and where it's coming from, we might be about to see this camera show the other side of the eye.
Yeah, that is imminent. It would appear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
We're just sort of sitting around looking at everything as it's happening at the minute. The storm getting ever closer to land. You can see on the satellite imagery towards the top left-hand side there's multiple different variations of the imagery. If you can't see that break in the eastern side of the storm, then, well, it is there now. It's quite clear to see. If you didn't see it earlier, it must clearly be visible now. There is a significant break over there on the eastern side of the storm, and it's slowly wrapping around towards the north. This storm on the eastern side appears to be done for all intents and purposes. To the north, it still looks very severe, and to the west, for those areas that are experiencing the landfall, the eventual landfall as it will be, the city of Fuzhou in China, population 4.5 million. The city of Ningde in China is likely to get at least the inner eye wall, possibly the eye. That's got a population of over 2 million. And Wenzhou, further north, is a significant distance away, but still could see some significant winds, possibly getting towards typhoon strength. Serious situation, coming to a climax here, and the landfall is imminent, and finally we can get rid of Maria again, as it were.
For a moment.
Go ahead.
Apologize. If you look at the latest satellite image with me on this, the whole structure of the storm looks very healthy. The eye itself, everything.
Which one?
I think it shows definite sign that it's strengthening.
I'm guessing you mean Chris. We keep missing you.
Yeah, I think
Chris.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's talking about Chris.
Yeah, well, Chris has been looking very good recently. Let's see if we can get some more imagery of that now. We're obviously watching two things at the same time, so do bear with us if we go on talking about another thing if it's not the thing that you're looking for from us, because we have two situations that are ongoing. This is Chris, looks to be intensifying still in the Atlantic. The latest frames there showing that maybe the eye has just waned ever so slightly, so I'd certainly hold off anything more than any 100-mile-an-hour predictions. Maybe, you know, it could still collapse as quickly as it's developed here, and anyone who says that it's a category 2 right now could have egg on their faces in an hour or two. We'll have to see what happens, or it could continue to intensify and get towards category 3 status.
Nathan, you can note on the screen that the other webcam conditions are deteriorating. Wow. You can actually see the water now over the retaining wall, or the waves. So that it has actually worsened.
Although I believe that was happening last time. Oh, there's actually standing water there.
Yeah, you can actually see the water. So I say that storm surge.
Could be, yeah. We're looking again.
And quite a bit of rubbish, debris in the water too.
What you're looking at here, if you've just joined us, is Beigan, B-E-I-G-A-N, if there's any pronunciation issues on my part.
I'm gonna see if that. So repeat that. I'm gonna see if I can't get a proper translation for that.
That's one of those islands off the coast of China that's part of Taiwan. B-E-I-G-A-N is the name of at least the town on the island. I assume the island goes by the same name.
That webcam is actually in the town, starting with the B.
Yes, the island isn't really much bigger than the town. It's one of those places that has where the runway of the airport there is part of its geography. They've had to do some work to put it onto the island, basically. But this is a live look at Beigan in Taiwan as we get towards the end of July 10th UTC. Of course, it's already July 11th over on the east coast of Asia, and it's around 2 hours after dawn, and it's hard to get a perspective on how strong those winds are there because the rain just completely ripples away, and I have to do a double take whether those light fixtures up there are swaying or not. They probably are a little bit, but the rain makes it look so much worse.
That's a good observation.
Rough seas, certainly. So these are the two features that we are watching live. Maria and Chris. Maria very close indeed now to making a landfall. And let me see if I can possibly get some visible imagery in real time for you, or near real time for you as well. That might take a moment or two. But at the minute you're looking at Beigan in Taiwan. Obviously, typhoon warnings are in effect for a large part of Taiwan, north and central. Unfortunately, the visible imagery doesn't cover the actual area of the storm, the 1 minute imagery at least. What we can show you as well as this is the latest visible imagery from the normal Himawari 10-minute imagery. Here's the latest visible, and you can see that landfall is very close indeed on the Chinese mainland, but obviously radar shows that it is still a little bit further away than what the satellite may imply. Let's see if we can get some precipitation estimates now in Taiwan. I'll try and get that as soon as possible.
I think it's I think what we were saying was correct. It doesn't really matter right now. What really matters is what's happening.
As of 7 AM, the precipitation chart looks like this. This covers only the 7 hours since midnight local time, and it's getting towards 8 o'clock in the morning local time. As you can see on here, many areas have received quite a few areas have received 100 millimeters of rainfall or higher in that 7 hour period. Taipei has received anywhere from around 50 millimeters to up to 200 millimeters near the northern tip of Taiwan and on some of those mountains. As you can see, the south has been very light indeed, and on those islands that we're looking at right now, we were looking at on the webcam, in the 7 hours just past, there's been around 30 millimeters of rain in this area. David, your thoughts?
I was just looking at the rainfall. I've just had to reboot another computer. I'm actually looking at another live webcam, Nathan, and I just want to bring it up. Let's see.
Somewhere.
So,
there'll be a Chinese one.
Orlando?
How many spots have Maria made landfall to?
I still didn't catch that. What were you asking?
How many landfalls has Maria made?
Well, it's a very good question. I don't think anyone knows the answer just yet.
Probably around, including all the other smaller islands, it could have made as many as 5 or 6 landfalls.
But then we go on to the definition of a landfall again. What constitutes a landfall?
A landfall is not when the very, very center of the storm makes a landfall, not the very center of the eye, but I mean...
Well, it depends who you go by.
Yeah, it does, but I mean... By other sources, a landfall is...
Certainly in East Asia that's the case, yes.
Yeah. Is the eye going over any part of land. The actual calm eye. Oh, there we go.
David, any thoughts for us right now, looking back at that webcam? Please leave that with us for a little while here.
Alright. I was just going to bring up another one.
Oh.
Sorry, I'll bring it back. I just want to bring this up. XIJU Zing Van Harbour.
Where on earth's that?
I think it's got to be China.
Well, either one of the Taiwanese islands, or we'll try and find out a little bit later.
We're nearing our
Actually, it's the same source, so... Oh, where's that now?
I'm not sure if that might be the same place or not. Unfortunately, I can't go and do the research right now as I'm...
Alright, leave it with me on.
But there you can see again another look at what's going on here. We'll take your comments and questions in a little while. There's also the poll running if you're still interested in that and haven't voted yet. It might be interesting to see what result we do get by the end of our stream. Should Maria be retired worldwide? Should the World Meteorological Organization break its convention and retire Maria worldwide? It should be that Maria is only retired in its basin. That's what retirement usually constitutes. But there is a clamour, I believe, And certainly we've witnessed that clamour in our results so far. You can change that, of course, for that to be the case.
Nathan, it's in that group of the two major Matsu islands, Donggu
yeah, I figured
Island.
it was
So it's the same, yeah, the same location, which would be the northern islands. So actually two different islands. The one with the B is to the southwest of Dongyin.
I'm sorry. Southwest of Dongyin.
And Nangan is the one
yes.
to the southwest of the Bigan.
Yes.
And Dongyin is the northern.
But where is this one?
This one is on Dongyin.
It is on
the northern island.
Dongyin, right?
Yes.
So that is the one that was initially hit by the storm's eye.
So what we've been looking at is three, two on Dongyin and the other one on.
That's right.
Beijing. And this one that we're looking at is the Xingfan Harbour, which I think's on the.
I see.
Oh no, this is confusing. Well,
but again, anyway. We're looking at it there, so yep. that is what we're seeing right now, and that scene is being replicated most likely in a lot of other locations along the coast of China, along those Taiwanese islands. Obviously, it's the time, you know, everyone should have hunkered down long ago, and thankfully we're not seeing anyone anywhere near these areas here.
Yes, that's a good thing. I think I remember when you guys were doing a live stream on Matthew, we saw some people out on the webcam, and I highly advise, and I'm pretty sure everyone else will too, that you never ever do that. If you are in a warning, or here's a better thing. Even further inland areas, might be about to be affected by Maria, you guys are still going to see very, very heavy conditions, especially rainfall, especially possibly even as high as typhoon force winds. So be on the lookout for that, and hunker down while you still can, because these areas are already should have people already hunkered down, and there you go.
And look at it, it is pretty crazy.
Yes.
Alright, I think we have some time for questions now at last. Oh, where's it gone? There it is again. Oh, now you're showing... Ah, look at this.
Back to... And all these are in the Republic of China territory.
Correct. So again, we're looking at Dongyin here.
I think conditions are worse, and you can't see the.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the other side of the storm now. Considering the camera's moving southwest, facing southwest, the water is moving right there. So the wind is blowing. Trying to work out my directions here. Northwest, right? Does that make any sense at all? I don't think it does, but well, that appears to be the case.
Actually, well, you're looking at the wind now. It's changed to a northeasterly. It was coming from
changed.
The top right.
Look at that.
It's now coming from the left to the top right.
Yeah,
In other
certainly
words,
changed.
The point we were, Nathan, you're
maybe
right.
Maybe I'm wrong about the camera direction, but it's certainly changed.
I don't think you are. I think you were spot on.
Oh, that's definitely powerful now.
Yeah, you can see it starting to spray. You can start seeing it spray and lift. Okay, so I think oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this area is now starting to going right back into the eye wall of Maria now.
Yeah, into the other eye wall here.
Very interesting to note. Okay, well, there's about 2 questions that I've been able to find. Will there be a 3rd hour of coverage?
Find out after the break.
There we go. And then, if I can find it...
There was another one I believe I saw as well, yeah. We're all struggling to find it. Do send in your questions.
Oh, okay.
Start message with Force13 all in text.
Force13, do you think Chris's current presentation is similar to Lee's Lead 2's on, or lead the seconds on September 26th?
Yes, I can see that similarity. I was actually looking at Lee's imagery just today, so I did see it not so long ago. I think it will end up looking better than Lee because it is further south. It can get those colder cloud tops because of its lower latitude.
As Nathan said, guys, comments, send your questions in, and we'll read them out and answer while we're kind of waiting here.
We're not waiting particularly, but yeah, pretty much.
Well, we're waiting. Well, we are waiting for this thing to.
Well,
we're waiting for the break, almost.
There must be some news. There is some news on Beryl. It is still at 50% chance. They've just updated at 8 PM Eastern Time. A plane again is scheduled to investigate on Wednesday afternoon. We haven't really been looking at Beryl because obviously we're looking at this. You can see how strong those winds are right now. Look at that. It's a very strong wind gust there over the water. Stronger
than what we were seeing earlier, that's for sure.
Certainly. We're staying on the air for at least another hour. Maria hasn't quite made landfall yet. We're back after this. Stay tuned. This is Force 13 Live. We continue. We're looking at Chris. We're looking at Maria. And hopefully you won't need to look at me so much, but here I am anyway. We'll be back again shortly. Stay tuned and ask any questions. Shoot. Whatever you'd like to ask us, we're here to serve. Our live coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website, force13.com, our YouTube page, youtube.com/Force13, on Facebook under the same name, Force13, and our Twitter handle, it's @Force13 if you wish to get in touch. You can also add Force13 on Skype, and my personal account on Discord, Fool13, at extension 9094.